Hello, friends. It's John Clan, third of episode 230 of Shadow and Playing with Magic, your premier Kitty Pryde Lucky and Magic podcast. And we're going to continue our Dark Web prelude with Venom Volume 5, Issue 13. And then we're going to spoil the heck out of X-Men United 3, Moonstar 3, and then very quickly Inglorious X-Force 5, Rogue Forum 4, 5, Side Dimension Rivals 5, Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon 4, and Ultimate Impact Reborn 1. But first, some news. Dan Buckley is retiring after nearly 30 years at Marvel and is being replaced by Brad Winderbaum, the head of Marvel Television, Animation, Comics, and Franchise, which is a pretty cool title. Uh, We can either expect giant changes or no changes, I imagine. All right. Venom Volume 5, 13. Legacy number 213. This came out January of 2023 and is brought to us by Al Ewing, penciler Brian Hitch, Andrew Curry is the inker, color artist Alex Sinclair, and VC's Clayton Cowles is the letterer and production. Years ago, Eddie Brock was a reporter whose career was ruined, and he had contemplated ending his own life, but he found a kindred spirit, an extraterrestrial parasitic alien called a symbiote. The creature bonded to him, and the two were joined together. They are Venom. Devil's Night. Recently, after trying to expand his abilities, Eddie Brock's mind became dislodged from his body, and he awoken within his symbiotic form in the Garden of Time, a blossoming paradise at the end of time itself. The garden is what's left of the physical bodies of the galaxy's symbiotes and is inhabited by those kings in black who reign after Eddie, led by the enigmatic Meridius. Meridius? But the garden's not the haven it appears to be. Desperate to return home to reunite with his son Dylan, Eddie has struggled to re-enter the time stream, only to find himself held back by the forces beyond his understanding. But now that force stands revealed as Mary Delius himself, and more than that, the truth about Mary Delius and all the kings in black has come to the light. They are all Eddie Brock. And so we see Eddie in the Garden of Midnight, Garden of Time, which you can follow along in my YouTube and TikTok channels at Jacko SII. And we will be posting a Sunday video of all the um, magic parts. We'll get to that on Sunday. And so Eddie as Venom is hanging out with Bedlam, I believe is this person's name. And so he's expressing dismay about how he can't escape from here. And then finally, we get the explanation here from Bedlam. Um, you're the king of Black Dummy. You can send your money anywhere as long as there's Clytur Kleintar on the other end, even a scrap, which is what they call the official name for the symbiotes. And it's like talking to a video game. You put up a waist-high fence and you can't imagine jumping over it. You can send your mind in any direction in space, moron. Why are you only going forward and backward in time? Yeah, try not to think of that elephant. And then just like that, he teleports away. And we see that he's now in a tiny jar. In a room full of giant trolls. And then he finally breaks out of there, of the jar. But unfortunately, the troll just picks him up and eats him. And then Eddie just rips out the guy's face, because I guess that's one way to exit. And then we get to the panel, what made me buy this comic in the first place? The assistant troll's like, "Buy the Dark Child, my master. You burst his noggin, you malicious pixie." And right, that's all it takes. The little caption of saying of evoking the Dark Child. So we know we're in Limbo now. Yeah, so maybe don't get any funny ideas in your noggin, pal. You guys are magic types, am I right? And then with a spell, Eddie's proper size now. And then he's just fighting his way through the trolls, which is pretty cool. And O'Brien Hitch is, a legend for a reason. Um, so yeah, he's just fighting troll after troll and goblin after goblin, getting the attention of a chariot. And we hear a voice. At the very least, I need someone to carry the Paragon. And I always did have a thing for a man in black. Your lucky day. I'm the king in black too. Bad I can't stick around. My son needs me. He's on his own back on Earth. Ah, not just a fellow monarch, a fellow single parent. I really should get to know you better. And then dramatic page flip. We see he's been talking to the new queen of Limbo, the Goblin Queen herself, Madeline Pryor. Look for cool sight. Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen of Limbo. As I said, I think you might have something in common with a friend of mine. I think we can all help each other out. To be continued in Dark Web Alpha, which will be what we cover next. And so, yeah, Venom, Volume 513 on our road to Dark Web. So, let's get to current day comics. No, I don't know why I insist on bagging the board on the podcast. There we go. Got it. Okay. So X-Men United 3, written by Dr. Eve Ewing. Artist is Tiago Palma. Color artist is Brian Reber. Letter VC's Joe Sabino. And I bought both covers. The Magic cover, drawn by Andre Bresnan and CC De La Cruz. Then I also got the Tiago Palma Gray Matter Lane variant cover of Kitty Pryde, Emma, and Beast. The Past, or Reasonable Sinochrome, the House of Maurice Cadfield, Super Soldier Test Subject. Issue opens with who we now know is Vernon Weaver, but we don't learn that until page 14. Weaver's fighting Captain America in a splash page I can only imagine is a homage to Captain America Annual 8 with Logan versus Cap. And another time we get Weaver versus Melee, we get a better image that Weaver has the ability to create, instead of classic Wolverine claws, he has forearm length blades boards. And yet another time, Weaver versus the Wolverine, she's the best at what she does. Then we get Weaver versus Jitter, who doesn't appear to be as scared as she was in the previous issue, so maybe Ewing got to know that Colicchio is more of the scared one of Collider. Back at Grey Malkin Lane, I like that Kitty calls him Beast. This isn't her friend. This is 70s Beast that she barely knows. Beast isn't doing a very good job of fixing the time displacement issue. Magneto's also unimpressed, and Emma's very annoying. We get Weaver versus everybody in the same time period, so that's nice. Beast has an idea of how to fix this and needs to boost Axel's abilities. I like Kitty having to stop Emma from killing Beast, as that should fix things. Kitty finds Axel funny. Weaver is gaining the edge on Cap, and Laura sneaks up on Weaver. That'd be a good time to promote shadowplayingwithmagic.com, but, where I'm writing some reviews of the books we're reading. Jitter uses hypnotherapy, and I do like how she has to announce her abilities. She uses negotiation earlier, so that's cool that she has used her powers more than once in a short span of time. She's getting stronger all the time. We finally get the Weaver name drop as we go to a flashback of his origins. Ewing uses this time to explain how racist Florida was back in the day. A white man at a store did not care for Weaver's father wearing his old uniform. Weaver went to get his marble from a friend's house and came back to find his father dead and their house on fire. The church gave him some clothes and a ticket, and he ended up in Philadelphia, being taken in by the Cadfields. He got along extremely well with Maurice, who was his age about. Maurice was becoming very popular in the community, becoming a leader. Then the war happened and was recruited to Camp Catheart. Weaver also enlisted to make sure Maurice wasn't alone. Them and their squad were experimented on, trying to create super soldiers. Weaver learned not only is he a super mutant or a super soldier, he's a mutant. So that's pretty cool to get a new black super soldier mutant into the franchise. Weaver had to kill his way out of the camp and poor Maurice didn't make it. Weaver feels like his past is his expiration date, which there are days where I feel the same. Cap feels horrible about this, and there's no admitting what happened to Weaver and everyone else who was abused. Sometime later, we see Weaver create the Maurice Cadfield Freedom School, which is a very well financed. I like that he's surrounded by a lot of young people and they have so much money to spend on scholarships. This is just a very nice direction this went in. I like that we get to see the schools getting deliveries from E-Wing deliveries. That's fun. Tiago is doing some fun background work. We get the epilogue. Steve Rogers took Kitty Pryde and Emma Frost out for lunch, which is the least he could do. Ac- Axo didn't come along as he has an aversion to militarized authority. Cap, I believe, jokes that he won't take that seriously, but I'm not sure if he's joking. After that adventure, you think he would get it. Cap orders a club sandwich, which I rarely get as I'm not a big fan of turkey, but maybe next time I will. Probably worth trying it again. Kitty wasn't ready to order as she got a text from Nina, so that's nice that Nina's still calling around. What isn't nice is that Cap asks if Kitty's having romantic problems, and Kitty says, yeah. So poor Nina might be time to move on. I think it showed that Kitty missed 9 calls from Nina, so at one point, like, the girl who phases is trying to ghost you. Emma orders the lobster bisque, which I have never had, but sounds delicious. I like paying extra at Red Lobster to get the lobster mashed potatoes when we're in Billings, the only city in Montana that can get daily fish deliveries. Shame it's 4 hours away, as it's a real commitment to get there. Emma's getting calls from Lourdes Chantel, so that's nice that she's no longer dead like she was at the end of Hellfire Gala 2023. And I got my 12th letter published. You know me, I had to ask about Lockheed, and Tom Brevoort responded that he isn't entirely sure where Lockheed is at the moment, but he'll turn up at some point, so we should be looking for that, true believer. Pretty solid issue, though once again, Marigold introduced in the first issue and 2 issues later still hasn't been seen, so it's just clearly living up to Lockheed's legacy, unfortunately. Moonstar 3, Ashley Allen's the writer. Artist Eduardo Udino. Color artist Arthur Helsey. Letter VC's Clayton Cowles. And I got the Herman Peralta cover, which I just had to get as it featured Danny the New Mutants, including Magic. Issue opens with a flashback sequence of Danny the New Mutants, Magic, Warlock, Warpath, 2 other people, one being a green lady. Um, this is Darren Krakoa. Danny's fighting training of Anole. Danny mind gets Danny's mind then goes to a battle with the Valkyries, one she wasn't present for. Turns out she's in the mind of Hildur, someone who died at the blade of Dansleaf, the same blade that Chiron stabbed her with last issue. Kyan, it's so weird that we have a Chiron and a Kyan, is doing its best to keep Danny from dying in the present time. Dainsleif is taking the form of Hildur to try to get some information from Danny's subconscious. Thankfully, Danny's a telepath, so she controlled the memory road. Danny also keeps referring to herself as an empath, and I'm not sure if that is true, but sure. Maybe that explains her side of the bond with Wolfsbane. Danny's now fighting Dainsleif Hildur at Xavier's mansion, so we get an awesome sequence of the original New Mutants fighting the threat. I could have easily gone for an entire issue of this setting. Hildur finally finds what she's looking for, Danny's parents' location. Danny can now access Chiron's perspective as he makes his way to her parents' house. A real shame these two have been secretly safe for decades. As soon as we remember they exist, they are in danger. Someone should probably be routinely checking on Havoc's adoptive parents, but then again, someone should have to think of Havoc to then think to threaten them. Chiron's hoping that Danny leaves his mind soon, as no child should see their parents get murdered. Kyan finally gets Danny to wake up, and he uses his teleportation disc to get them to Colorado. We learn his body isn't built for magic, but he never expected to live that long. Danny's parents, of course, are not there, and issue ends with poor Danny having to make a cruel choice to stop Kyron or save her parents. So I imagine her parents are with Kyron, so that isn't like she has to choose two different locations. Actually, maybe they are, as Kyron's map has two locations, one of them being a tablet that we saw in Giant Size Amazing Spider-Man King's Ransom. A great editor note from Darren Shan. That is one long title. And then we give some quicker reviews. Inglorious X-Force 5, we learned Angel's new sinister form is called Blood Angel. He defeats the team pretty easily. We get a fun mental conversation with Boom Boom and Warren that puts him in the right mind space to take over his body again. He wants to kiss her, but she wants to go to their bodies first. Blood Angel has the power to revive the nasty boys, then switches from the sinister Blood Angel power to Apocalypse's Archangel power and kills Sinister for now. Issue ends with Domino confronting Cable, who seems to be under the possession of a green guy, and he wipes Domino's mind and memories, which I just hate when that happens. Miss Marvel learns the Inglorious X-Force's mission that one of them kills her, and she doesn't want that to happen. She hates dying. Rogue Volume 4-5, the concluding chapter. Rogue goes to 1880 Dorman Street in Hackensack, New Jersey, which is not a real street, which is good for legal reasons, I'm sure. Rogue got the address from Gambit, who had to use the Eye of Agamotto to obtain the address. We see Gambit gets rock shapes on his shoulders, which I thought meant this miniseries takes place before Uncanny X-Men Volume 627, as we'll see Batwing sprout from that location. But then we see later that Jitter announces she's dating Calicchio now, so this must have taken place way earlier in the Uncanny run. Ro confronts John Stelton, who hates her for what she did to him. She asks him for forgiveness after he shotguns her. Thankfully, her invulnerability kicked in beforehand. His wife comes out to scream at Rogue, and Rogue leaves crying. Will John Stinson be mentioned in the list of names Rogue thinks about going forward that she hurt like Cody and Carol Danvers? Only time will tell. Pretty solid Rogue mini. Side Dimensional Rivals 5 storytellers are Peach Momoko, Aline Casande, Miguel Moscado, Natasha Bustos, Phil Noto, and Guri Hiri. VC's Joe Sabino lettered everything. If you wanted to, you could just read the first and last issue and get the full story. It was a fun adventure, and there's a sequel hook of the gal in this version of Beast looking for someone else to find the seventh stone that controls the other Infinity Stones. Great art, fun story. Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon 4. So this entire miniseries is set up giving Logan an origin box that he opened and looked shocked to see what was inside of it in his own cap shield. He and Colton will appear in Avengers Armageddon, but that seems completely missable to me. I do like seeing Invisible Woman on the Avengers. That's pretty cool. The Avengers will be Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, the Parker one, Iron Man, Sam Wilson, Cap, and Logan. Um, then we get Ultimate Impact Reborn 1. Maybe it's just because I feel so burned by the ending of Ultimate Universe, or maybe because none of my favorite characters appear in this. I'm sure I only pre-order this issue. An issue I would be giving to Walker D. Spider-Man, the Morales one, fights Spot. Spot has a bunch of origin boxes, and the fight loses control of them. They all get spotted to brand new characters. The MCU Wonder Man's introduced. He has a daughter in the comics. Will this be a collector's issue? Only time will tell. The cult of Annihilus appears to be the main villain, so this is definitely not the comic I thought it was going to be. And this ties into Armageddon somehow. I guess that this is just how it will be turned into a company-wide event, but I'm going to hold out as long as I can. Next week's comics, we're going to review our X-Men Volume 730, Generation X 23-4, Inferno Hulk 7, with magic on the cover, Psylocke Ninja 5, and Wiccan and Hulkling Raid of Ultron 1. I know. Oh yeah, and then I added Moonstar 3 to the top X comics, which I did just change a Magic Colossus 4 as #1 comic. Like the lack of Marigolds really turning me off of X-Men United, which is at #2, Moonstar at 3. It might move up though. Avengers Volume 434 at number 5, Generation X 23-1, 6, Sorcerer Supreme 3, X-Men Volume 728, Uncanny X-Men Volume 628 at number 9, Wolverine Volume 817, and Cyclops Volume 42. And then we got the August 2026 solicitations. I'm definitely going to be buying the Midnight X-Men issue. Ideally, one of the variant covers will have this kitty and magic on it. DNX 1 got re-solicited. Jeff the Land Shark Superstar 2. X-Men United 6, ideally a variant cover of Kitty. X-Men 35, I'm definitely getting the Marvel Token Fighting Souls Magic variant. Um, and then X-Men 36, I'm gonna be buying the Rod Rice variant that has magic on it. Solo magic. Maybe it'll be Inferno Hulk 10. It's the final issue of the series, so I might just finish it. But we'll see if issue 7 ends in a way that makes me want to complete the rest of the series. Godzilla Conquers the Multiverse 2. So 5 comics for sure, 2 maybes. And then my watch list is Venom 261, where the symbiote's going to fight Reed Richards because of a grudge held from the original Secret Wars. So maybe Lockheed will appear in a flashback sequence. There's a Marvel Token First Strike anthology that's starting. X-Men Outback 3 has a villain who's going to insist on ending the Rasputin bloodline, so maybe magic could get mentioned. And What If X-Men 1, written by Ashley Allen, about what if Cassandra Nova killed Xavier back in the day. So yeah, we'll see how that all plays out. And that, everyone, was episode 230 of Shadow and Playing with Magic. Thank you so much for listening or watching. You can follow me on the socials at JackOSII on both platforms and the podcast at SNFWM. Thank you so much for everyone who's been following the account on Instagram. Seems like we're getting at least one more person every day, so that feels pretty great. And so, dear friends, please don't have any shadows of doubt. Ignite those flames and make like magic and get out there and enjoy your days, everyone, and your evenings. All right, everyone. Until next time. Bye.